Hello, I'm back here to talk about American domestic politics. So I'm going to talk about the current congressional race in 11th congressional district in New Jersey. Okay, give you a little revisionist history on this. Right now, it's Analia Mahia is the progressive candidate right now, and she's literally running on abolishing ICE. And like I said, the numbers don't lie. Majority of the country now supports that, not just Democrats. And I said there was a rise of the Tea Party on the left, and a lot of people didn't believe me. Well, now it's coming to pass. She's on the verge of winning that seat because it is a solidly Democratic seat, so it's not going to flip to the Republicans. So if she wins the primary, she's the candidate. She's going to win the seat. Well, right now she's leading in the primary. It's very close, but she's leading. And it's not just a big deal in the sense that she's winning, it's also the region of the country. Because if I give you the history of New Jersey, you'd be shocked. Even though New Jersey is a solidly blue state, it's pretty middle of the road. They vote for moderate Democrats. Okay, a lot of the Democrats are very corporate in New Jersey. All right. Which is why, in a lot of ways, New Jersey's not evolved in the way it should have over the years. But the guy running against her, of course, got most of the corporate backing, and he was a self-described moderate who was occasionally critical of Israel, which, of course, AIPAC spent a ton of money against him, which was totally counterproductive, and I want to say thank you, AIPAC, for doing that, because now you're going to help a progressive win that seat. But, because AIPAC's got nothing better to do but throw out a bunch of negative attack ads because they really think people are still stuck in the Stone Ages and pro-Israel. FYI, people have woken up to that reality. So they're not so pro-Israel anymore. So go spend all your money. Have fun with that. Just keep blowing that money in the air. Nobody cares. But anyways, Tom Malazaki. He was a former congressman in another neighboring district who lost in 2022 to a Republican. So he decided to come back and run in this open seat in Congressional District 11, which, of course, as anyone knows, it was Mikey Sherrill's seat, a former moderate congressional Democrat who's a moderate. She wasn't a progressive, she was pretty moderate. She is now the governor of New Jersey, so they had to fill that vacated seat. So now they're having a special election, and right now, the progressive candidate is leading for the seat. So it looks like she's likely to be the next congresswoman in that district. But the reason why it's a big deal is because this is the wing of the party that's had the hardest time winning in a lot of these primaries, because a lot of Democratic voters bought into institutions are working for the people, and we need to work on civility and working across the aisle. And, a lot of Democrats thought like this. I know a lot of people find it hard to believe, but a lot of them were traditional voters who watched mainstream media and still believed that the system was working for everybody, and now they're realizing it's not. That's completely changed. And like I said, the Democrats did not push back against Trump or represent policies to show their cred. Voters were going to catch on, especially in a time when it mattered most. We were starting to see the fruits of that. And just like Republicans were dissatisfied with their party in the past, now you're seeing where Democrats are growing dissatisfied with their party today. All right. And a lot of people thought it was an isolated race with a mayoral race in New York with Mondami. I said, no, that's just the beginning. Okay. You're going to see more of that. And the reason why it's a big deal is even though it's New Jersey has had a history of voting for establishment Democrats. I know people are shocked because it's a solidly blue state. But the Democrats of the past in New Jersey were also very well financed by corporate America. They were very status quo, pro-Wall Street Democrats. And I can highlight a prime example. The current senator who's trying to make a stardom for himself, who wants to run for president, Cory Booker, very corporate. Don't be fooled by his rhetoric. He's not a progressive, okay? He's very middle-of-the-road Democrat who happens to be charismatic. But that's most of the Democrats in New Jersey. minus the charisma. Like, he's the one charismatic guy, but a lot of them are very traditional corporate Democrats. As you all know, remember the history, the last senator resigned in disgrace because he was caught taking bribes from foreign governments. All right. Was it Baba Mendez, who was forced to resign in disgrace? One of the most corrupt, vile elected officials in office, who finally was forced to get removed. Another Democrat won a seat. I think his name was Andy Kim. Luckily, is better, far better than Baba Mendez. Okay. It's an improvement. I don't know if he's the best of the best, but it was definitely an improvement, his replacement. Because they were going to try to tip the scales. I think the governor of New Jersey's wife was going to run for the seat. And they got outed for trying to appoint somebody instead of letting the voters choose. And as a result, they got backlash and they voted for this other guy named Andy Kim. So, again, the disaffection of the electorate became a real thing. It's a real thing. People are waking up. On both sides of the aisle, people are starting to wake up. But New Jersey was very pro-corporate, even though it was a blue state. Okay, just like Delaware is. Very corporate states, even though they're blue states. So they're not progressive utopias like people think they are. Okay. The Democrats in New Jersey are not very populist, and that's what I'm saying. It's a different brand of Democratic Party. All right. A lot of them were in trouble. A lot of them went down in corruption and bribery scandals. A lot of them got removed from office, thankfully, though. I think the culture's starting to change, though, because on the Democratic side, corruption is not becoming so acceptable. Us Democrats are waking up. We're like, no, we're done with this crap. We need to clean house. Okay. Now, on the Republican side, I was hoping that was starting to happen, but now I think the Republican side's devolved. They've turned to a cult of personality, and that's been a problem for so long. And that's why I said the cult stuff's got to go, because they need to also look at the bigger picture, because they should want better for their party and their country too. Okay? Because you guys have to know your party's imploding, because you're not cleaning house. You're doing the opposite. You're defending the cesspool that's hurting your party. Okay? At least the Democrats are trying to clean their own house up. You know? So the thing is, because the things that we care about may be different than what the right cares about, but we care about corruption. We want accountability. We want people that represent the things that we care about. We want them to support the policies we want them to support when it's coming to make our government better and our lives better. Okay? We don't want the corruption. We don't want the BS and the nonsense. We don't want the wishy-washiness or putting your foot in every camp or being a political opportunist. We want to elect people that actually care about the public. Okay? And this is to be continued. You're going to see more of this. This is just the beginning. Okay? We're not even in the end yet. We're not even in the middle stages at this point. You're going to see a lot of this happening. Okay? It's just started. And again, it's like I said, it's New Jersey. If you know the history of New Jersey, you would be shocked. And you would be shocked, believe it or not, even though it's a solidly blue state, their history of how they vote. They've always voted for the corporate Democrats. They always voted for the institutional-backed Democrats. Well, that dynamic is starting to change. So it's not just isolated to New York anymore, or wings of California, or Oregon, or Washington. It's going everywhere. So I just want to highlight that about the Civil War on the left and the side that's actually starting to win, and the Tea Party, the rise of the Tea Party of the left is a thing. It's happening. But I also would say broadly it's a rise of true populism in America too. Because we need that populist energy more than ever because of what's going on right now in this country. This is not normal times. Okay? And I'm glad the Tea Party of the left has finally arrived. It took a while, but we're here. Anyways, I'll see y'all later. Have a great day. Have a great night. Goodbye.